Order. I do apologize for the 15-minute delay. We do have the audio and video properly working this evening. We're opening the floor as the town hall meeting to any citizen that would like to speak, ask questions, or make a statement. Would there be anyone this evening who'd like to approach the podium? Please do. Welcome.
My name is Bernie Satinas, and I live in the Braxton Bend development, and we've been here now 4 years, and we really love the town and all the things it has to offer. I really want to point out something to Stuart. Is he going to be here or not?
To my knowledge, neither of Mr. Bissell or Commissioner Johnson will be available this evening.
Well, since this is being recorded, you can pass this on to him. I want to, specifically talk to him about, has he completed his survey to see what the citizens think about getting lights in the town? It appeared to me that he was going to go and talk to people to find out if they thought we needed lights, street lights at certain intersections. Well, we've had 4 years, and by now he would have had time to talk to everybody who lives here. And I think it's very important. The area at Braxton Bend on Strong Road, and then coming into where I live, it's really dark. And there are cars parked on the street at night, and somebody's going to get hurt. But we really need to have, I don't know if it's just the codes department look at that or the police department, but I think the important thing is to have more lights around some of these intersections. At that intersection going into our development, there's a sign that says dangerous curve, okay? And believe me, that is well spoken. It's very dangerous. And there should be a light on that right there. Because someday somebody's going to come up and try to take a left-hand turn there, and they're going to get wiped out. And so I think we really do need some lights on some of these intersections. That's all I have to say. I think the rest of you are doing a good job.
Mike, can I give him a little bit of input? I'm sorry about your last name. What was it again?
Satinas, S-U-T-I-N-I-S.
Okay, Bernie, right?
Right.
Thank you. There's just to give you a little insight into that. We have already looked and picked locations to where the police department and fire department have said they're most needed to start with. That map is available if you'd like to take a look at it and see if your street is already on there. It's just a matter of moving forward with the lighting, finance-wise, working with the electric company to get it done. But how many do we already have set up?
I believe we set 36.
But we already have 36 set up, and we have on books over like 150.
Well, we had broke it down into phases. Originally, when the discussion was, we broke it down into the dangerous areas, which was considered with the police, the fire, and they were set. Middle Tennessee Electric completed that last spring, summer or so. And then the second run to that was in subdivisions that were entrances, curves, things of that nature. So that's kind of a phase 2, and that's in the hopper of conversation right now. And then there was also a third phase, which was the underground lights that were needed, where that would be more costly. But I do agree that that needs to get on front track and move forward, because lighting up the city is always a positive thing to do.
But there is a map available. Well, you contact the city manager, they can tell you where we have tried to set them up at, but it is done. So.
Are they waiting for money?
That's part of it, as always.
The last project was put out conversation in maybe October, and it's just never been discussed again. So I would be glad to bring that back up.
I'm sorry. Can Mr. Hall say he had a comment?
I believe it's going to be on the agenda the second meeting in February.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could introduce somebody.
You're welcome to, yes.
As customary, if somebody comes in that's running for office or already in office, we'd like to introduce them. I'd like to introduce Judge Denise Andre. Judge Andre, if you could stand up for just a second. And her lovely husband and a friend of mine for the last 20 years, Richard.
Hello, sir.
Judge Andre has been a general sessions judge now. This is the 8th year. She'll be running for office again this coming year. She served the county very well in these last 8 years, and she also has developed and nurtured the DUI court in Williamson County. And so she's done a great deal for it. We really appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. The podium is open for anyone who would like to make a statement, ask questions, or comment. Welcome, Ms. Fuentes.
My name is Victoria Fuentes, and I've been living here for 7 years and have never seen such a disgraceful board meeting as I saw earlier this month. I am frustrated and sad that this board was disrespectful and lacking evidence when accusing someone of wrongdoing. Your actions as judge and jury were an embarrassment. This meeting should never have taken place. What should have been done is that you research what actually took place 2 years ago, review the process, find the crack in the system, and figure out how it can be corrected. This meeting to me was a retaliation and a witch hunt that you all should be ashamed. It also had the appearance of a political agenda. Your behavior is inexcusable, and I'm very disappointed with the board. If there were wrongdoings, then an independent investigation should have been done first, then the facts presented to the board. I'm sure if you look back at the previous commissioners and mayors, you will see that they also own a lot of property here in Fairview and might not have done everything exactly as it should have been. Yet you took this opportunity to try to discredit the current mayor, who, in my opinion, has been the best mayor since I have moved here. There was, and maybe still are, loopholes in the process here, but pointing fingers doesn't get it fixed. Instead of pointing fingers and throwing out accusations, you should have worked together to correct the standard operating procedures so that this situation does not happen again. You all should have sat down and admitted that things might not have been done correctly and jointly figure out ways to improve the system so that it never happens again. You could have asked the staff employees where procedures can be changed and where more staff is needed to help with the extra work based on the growth of the commercial and residential buildings. Since one time or another, most of you sat on the Planning Commission. It is mind-boggling to me that no one caught an error at the beginning of this building process. I truly hope and pray that you will all work together with respect and with the interest of the city to continue the great improvements. Everyone should be held responsible to make sure that the city enforces building codes so it continues to develop in the same manner it is doing at the present time. I also find it very odd that a staff member resigns because of one mistake. Untruthful or wrongful accusations are not the way to treat hardworking staff employees, and I am upset with these actions. Personally, I have no problem with family members working for the city, but the hiring process needs to be reviewed that all applicants meet the qualification standards. There should never be an appearance of favoritism. I have the greatest respect for the people who are in the Codes Department, Planning Commission, and board members. I might not always agree with their decisions, but I understand that they represent the entire city and must do what is right for Fairview. Staff employees, volunteers, and elected officials must have respect for one another's positions. They must work in unity, whether they were born here, own a lot of property, new to Fairview, or of a different gender, in order to make this city function properly. Tearing each other apart in public is not productive. You must move forward in a positive and respectful way and enforce the current codes for all developers, businesses, and citizens, whether commercial or residential. You must not take the city backwards, but correct the mistakes for the good of Fairview. Now, on a lighter note, I want to thank you for Walmart. What a convenience, and it is and so nice. I don't miss going to Dixon or Cool Springs. I hope other businesses that come to Fairview will be built with the same high standards. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The podium is open. Would other citizens like to speak?
I just have something to say to her comments. I don't know, a lot of people don't realize that we have to go by a charter, and sometimes, even though the public really would have rather not seen what all occurred, and whatever you think, either way, there's only one place that it can be discussed, and it's in the public. So we really, if there is a problem or an accusation against somebody, it does have to be done in this style. Me personally, I know it's embarrassing for our community. It's surely not the image that I've worked really hard to, I don't want to portray that kind of image. So anyway, but just if you have questions about sometimes, feel free to call, but go, the charter's online, and a lot of things that we have to do, 2 commissioners can call a special meeting. It's not a majority, or the mayor herself. So, and then it's a majority system. So if 3 people, want to do this, it's what we have to do. And we do have an obligation, if there are complaints, the people expect us to look into it. And I mean, you have some great points, and I realize how frustrating it is to the majority of the citizens in our community. But it is what it is. I mean, we have to go by the law, and we have to follow our charter. So,
Would anyone else like to approach the podium?
we can change our charter, though, but it takes 3 votes. Just to throw that out there.
Judge Andre, do you have anything you want to say?
And Bowie Park, and I've become a friend of Bowie Park, and hopefully after my campaign I can really get into the dirt of Bowie Park and enjoy that. Also, I just really enjoyed seeing how Fairview is changed. Good way. Getting new restaurants, you're getting new places to live, and I just think that I'm just glad to see all the great changes here.
Thank you. Opportunity to speak. Podium is open.
Don't fight over it.
Actually, I have a question for Commissioner Sutton. You, I guess it was a couple months ago, put together a committee to review the codes. And I was wondering if there were any updates on that, as codes have been a big part of the whole debacle that's been happening lately. Streamlining those codes and allowing businesses to come to Fairview, not quicker and easier. I mean, codes can be strict, but if you streamline the process of getting things through codes and through the bureaucratic craziness that is any government, it's not just the city.
Well, we just to answer, I'm not going to cut you off.
Okay.
We've already done a process on one development lately where we actually went through 3 phases in one night rather than a month and a half apart on meetings. Mr. Hall, did we get that posted today? Okay. The meeting is set for February the 13th.
Okay, excellent.
Am I right? 6 o'clock. So if
Okay.
you want to come out, come on out.
All right.
There's the people that were volunteer for the board that are on the board are being notified.
Okay, because
So-
my mother was volunteer.
Yes,
volunteered that night,
absolutely. Yeah, and
she
I'm
was
sorry it
unaware,
took so long, but there's just been so much going on.
I understand.
And it's going to be a long process, and we want to take our time and break it down. And we've got some very good people on that board.
Okay, well, then a follow-up question. I know that you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're running for county commission
Yes, sir.
this year. If you win that spot, don't you have to step down from this one?
No.
No? So you're going to continue in your
I promised the people when I was elected to this term that I would fill my full term here, which will
Okay.
mean about a year and a half, something like that, after the final process, if I'm fortunate enough and get the support to win the county. So
Okay.
I
I
look
just wanted
forward-
to make sure you were going to be here to complete that process.
absolutely. I wouldn't run if I couldn't do that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
I promise them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'll have to speak tonight.
Anyone is allowed to
In
speak.
respect to the codes, Will Owen, the city engineer, is actually setting up workshops to review our codes book, which I understand is way outdated, mostly was drawn up by, what was his name? Ron Cooper, the state planner, and that's how outdated this is. And he says there's a lot of things that's got to be corrected in there. So we do have a workshop before the Planning Commission meeting to start reviewing this as part of the Planning Commissioners training throughout the year. And we're planning on revamping the codes department in that direction.
I did add one other person to that committee, and that was a gentleman that you had replace you on the planning commission. He's very astute in the process of codes and everything. I was really impressed with him, and I asked him to join us in that committee. So just to let you know.
That'll meet on the 13th?
Meet on the
That'll be
13th at 6
publicized
o'clock.
for the public?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to be a long process, and there's a lot of work to be done. And but we need to get it corrected and straightened out and streamline the process. And it needs a better operating procedure than what we've got now. The book is like this. I know no one that knows everything about it. So we're going to work on it. It's going to take some time, but we're going to get it done. And we'll finish it before I'm gone, I hope. So we got a lot of really interested people that have a lot of knowledge about the planning and codes division from the state level on down. So it's going to be good. So please join us.
Would there be on the welcome, Mr. Hendricks?
I'm Ben Hendricks.
Hello.
I've lived here since I was 6, except for 3 years when I was at Fort Campbell. Actually something I want to bring all 5 commissioners, but I was wondering what you thought the importance of transparency. There are times maybe when I'm not getting a question, should I do more? Should I be reaching out and calling someone? Or what can I do more? How do you value transparency? That when we go to any, like you can reach out to us and we're
I'd be glad to answer that. Transparency is very important, and I believe it is one thing that begins to have a trust or a distrust. And I have shared a few things that I thought was important when I became mayor, and which was getting all of the videos and all of the audio of every meeting, except for workshops, out to the public. Prior, it was on Channel 19 only, and I don't get Channel 19, so I wasn't able to receive that. So I felt other people were not able to get the meetings, thus they were not informed. So since then, we've evaluated and gone into, as you see, the live streaming and also the YouTube and the video download on the video on demand on the website. So that was very important. There was $98,000 spent on the audio and visual back 2 years ago. And you know, it's the taxpayers' dollars. And I think at that point, whether, you know, that was the best buy or not, I wasn't privy of making that, but we did vote that we would move forward in upgrading the audio and visual. And that was a reason for transparency.
Yes.
Without pulling the minutes, I couldn't confirm, but I
I'm
do
almost
believe we
certain
all
that it
moved
was.
forward in needing the upgrade. Because at that point, it was surveillance cameras, which were very dark and just very grainy and wasn't very good. But back to your question, I believe that our information is on the website, and I am reachable anytime within reasonable hours by phone or by email, always. And I have tried to express that to the citizens since I've become mayor, that this is your town. I'm here in as a servant position, leading the town and trying to do what I can do to be a good ambassador. I do not do the everyday work of the city. That's done by the city manager. And there's lots of times that I am not privy to information that takes place. And then I also ask, trying to make sure that I'm staying abreast. So as a citizen, I'm a citizen in City Hall. And I'd like to know more that goes on in the city. So you as a citizen, if I can tell you anything, I will. If I can't, I'll ask the people who are taking charge of those events or projects and be glad to share with you. Because I believe it's all of our city. And it's important that we know what's going on and we agree, especially when it comes to money or excessive purchases, because that's our money that's being spent.
If I can add to that just a little bit. Mr. Hall, you may be able to sit up and reiterate this. About 2 months ago, I've been talking about it for quite some time. As the mayor stated, she doesn't get that. She doesn't get Comcast. There's several things that every citizen doesn't have privy to. Everybody doesn't have a computer. Everybody doesn't have cable. Everybody doesn't have anything. Wayne, can you stand up and tell us a little bit more about what we're working on right now, or maybe Jake can? Nick, I'm sorry, Nick. I brought that up so that for that exact same reason, because just because you have a newspaper or you have Comcast doesn't mean you're not everybody here. We want to make it as available as possible. And this is a huge step toward it. You now will be able to watch it on your UVerse. A lot of people have UVerse now. So transparency, yeah, I believe in it. I believe we should do everything that we can to do it. I wish everybody could come to a meeting, but they can't. And they need to have the availability. All of our information is online. I try to answer every phone call, everything I get. I work for the Sheriff's Department there 19 years. But you can reach me. My address is on there. Write me a letter, call me, whatever. So yeah, I believe in it. And there's only one time that we shouldn't, and that's an executive meeting, and that's normally for legal matters that could affect things in the city. And I don't know anybody that doesn't have that availability. But it should never be used to screen information from the public. That's me.
Yes, I believe in it. One of the things a lot of people may or may not know, I came to the meetings way before I ever decided to run for office. That's what led me to run to office. A lot of times I would sit in the audience, you couldn't hear. They would be talking about something that you didn't know what they were talking about, and they all had a piece of paper with the budget or with whatever the subject line was. And that's why I started pushing for it to be put on the screens. We were all for, I don't know who all voted, but I know I was for the audio, and so all that, true. But there's a certain amount of transparency that occurs just by people coming to the meetings and getting involved. I think, me personally, and I try not to speak for the whole board, but I feel like most people probably feel the same way, is the last thing we want is you to think that we're not being transparent, because basically we do serve the city, and I feel like the position is a servant position, and that if you don't want me here or you don't think I'm doing what I need to do, then, you know, I'll go home. I'll have my Thursday nights back and, you know, move forward. But one of the things about it is everything's available to the citizens. And, you know, right now our interim city manager, you know, I've seen him have citizens in his office, taking the time, open the door, sit down, see what their needs are. And I really think that's what government's about. And you're not going to get that everywhere. And so I think that makes us unique. Now, can I say everything's always been transparent in the last 3 years since I've been here? You know, I've had citizens say, I don't feel like I can get an appointment, you know, or this, you know, department did this. But, you know, we're just trying to work for the people. And the thing about it is, like I said earlier about this whole setting, you know, it would be nice if we didn't have to do everything, you know, the hard questions in public. We can't say transparency but then get mad at the Board of Commissioners when the bad stuff comes out. You want us to be transparent and get along when it's only good stuff, but when there's something that's negative, we still have to do it from the bench. So I answer my phone calls. I try to answer all the emails. I take the time before the meetings to try to meet the people, and a lot of times if there's a big item on the agenda, I feel like that I try to see why they're here, and then when I have to vote for something that affects their lives, like their land or, you know, their community, I have a face that goes with that. So that's important to me. So as far as, yeah, I believe it needs to be transparent. I do. I think it's your town, your money, you know, and we've got to do everything we can. But we can't make everybody happy, and we are a growing town, and there is changes, and sometimes we have to make those hard decisions, and that's what we do.
Up until about 3 years ago, the budget was not on the internet.
That's
and
true.
It is now
That's something
on
we did.
the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, I want to put on there just, you should be able to look at the budget, see where the money's going and where it's at. And you may not always agree with it, but it's a board decision, but you should have the input if you want to come up and have input into it. So it's on the line too.
The website has been a very big focus of making sure that anything that we have that's public record is on the website. So rallied for the budget on there, the agendas, the recording as far as the archives, and right now I'd like to see the minutes, the approved minutes on there as well. The budget is there and the audit is there. The department, the codes department has all of the downloads, and most of the other departments have their most important downloads. So it's a work in progress, but keeping the calendar updated is a focus of trying to make sure that the people know what's going on and have ability to plug in. So keeping the updates of the boards, that's something we addressed this morning. We have several seats that are available, and they're not updated on the website, so that's being addressed tomorrow to make sure we know that all of the boards are filled and that there is applications being accepted because we have many available seats.
So that's an invitation. You come on out and get on the board,
Well, and
please.
I invite you to the budget meetings. We've had, I know since, I don't know how y'all were doing it before the mayor and I got here, but I'm sure there was open workshops. But we did a series of meetings, really a lot more our first year versus because we were still, Mr. Hyatt was still kind of new, and then we had a lot of questions. It was probably 2 or 3 last year, but they're all open to the public. They are advertised, and you know, if you really want to see where your money's going, that's where you need to go. And you know, there's really not a lot of people that come. I see one that was at the budget workshop meeting, maybe 2 in the audience, but it's just really, it really opens your eyes to the process and how the money's being spent. And
We started doing it by department about 2 years ago because that was one of my questions is what happens with the budget? At that point, I thought that was one of the most priority things of making sure that there was not more money spent than was taken in. That I kind of took very serious from the beginning, going, that's important. And it was expressed that they just showed the budget, maybe had a conversation, and approved the budget. And my comment was, every department needs to be responsive of what they're doing, why they're doing it, what they feel comfortable with, or what they feel uncomfortable with. What are their goals that they need to maybe start getting on a 1-year or 3-year or 5-year projection plan? And that's why we started having in you know, my opinion, it was much needed workshop to discuss, and then at that point it was done by department. And that worked very well, and it's been going on for the last 2 years.
I want to thank you for your service, too. Thank you very much.
I've looked at the boards, I know they mentioned it.
We
Well,
should post
I'm
tomorrow.
on 5 of them, so you step on in anytime you want to.
I'm thinking there's, I didn't count, but there could be 6 to 8 available seats with the current resignations, and they'll be posted. I think one is left, 2 have been seated, but they'll be posted tomorrow, and applications are online for them to be pulled, sent, and Mr. Hall would receive those. I have that on the agenda for the February 6th meeting to fill the seats, and hopefully we'll have enough applications where we can have that full discussion and get that done as soon as possible. Thank you, Ben.
You break it, you got to pay
you got a
for it.
question?
No, he has a fresh battery. I do want to say wonderful discussion. I appreciate everyone's input. And as the citizens get involved, we'll turn things to a positive way and move forward. The podium is open for other comments, questions.
I can just say, if everybody's through, they want to come up, I'll take it.
Hold on.
Well, I think-
Hold on. It's like Baptist Church guy. Wait a minute.
Come on.
I ain't a big boss, I'm a little boss. Ask my wife about that, she'll tell you real quick who the boss is.
There's 2 things I want to ask. One of them is just a request. As you said, you have the ability to show on these screens. When we come in here, or when you post even any of these things for zoning changes, and the information that goes out is like Russian to us. I mean, I know that I get to, I don't do it anymore. I used to get to Tennessean, and if Davidson County is going to rezone something, they have that rezoning notice and a small map of where that property's at. Because otherwise, you can't call down here and find out. Because the information they give you is going to be, you know, they can't tell you it's on, I mean, even like the mayor's property that was recently rezoned. Well, we knew it was out on Horn Tavern, but otherwise, Horn Tavern's a pretty long road, and you don't know where that property is. So I would like to be able to see when you're discussing it on the screens up here, and also when it comes out as notification in the paper. I mean, the website's another thing, and these are easy things to do. This is not, I don't think it takes a, you know, much of an act here to do that, to get, I mean, that's just sort of, that's probably city manager kind of things to take care of. And he, nothing, I mean, it just, I don't think it takes much to get to that point. The other thing is the power line that you recently approved to go along the edge of Bowie Park. Now, in and of the power line being there or not in Bowie Park is not so much my question. My question was they brought it up here, and with little or no discussion, you gave away part of the park. You gave a right-of-way away to the park with less than 5 minutes discussion. Now, I'm not against the power line. I'm not against it being in the park. But I know these are the same people that came and sprayed in my yard, and it took me 2 months to get them to admit to it. And then the answer I got was, well, the guys that we had out there doing it was from Ecuador or Guatemala, and they might have not understood the directions correctly. When they came and trimmed the trees, I had to show them how to trim a tree where you don't kill it. You know, how to cut it back properly. They just whacked them off. Now, in my yard, I can live with that. The thing is, we need some restrictions on it. When it goes through this park, as far as what they're able to do as far as pesticides, as far as the way they trim the trees up, and the way they maintain it. Each one of us as a citizen can do that. You're the only ones that can take care of the park. You're the only ones that can put those restrictions or ask them. And they want that property. I don't see that they're going to argue too much if you say, we don't want you to spray in this, we don't want you to do this, and we've got some stipulations if you want to take 40 feet of our park. And now that's, that I do have a problem with that, and I would like to see when the park is discussed that it not be, yeah, okay, let's pass it and go on. If that's the jewel of this city, then it needs to be polished. And it doesn't need to just be 5 minutes and out of here. And a lot of times those things come up and I see it attended to like that. So I thank you for your time, and if you could address that for me.
Mr. Power, let me also add that on Monday at 7 p.m., we'll have the park board meeting. And in the park board meeting will be distributed the draft of the Bowie Park strategic plan that we've been waiting on through the year. So that would be a great place to address if there are restrictions or requirements when it comes to tree trimming for utility companies. So I'll make a note of that, and if you're here on Monday, if we can address that once it's presented, that would be a great place to start.
I just think that y'all as commissioners, when they was here trimming the last time, I can't imagine your phone's not being run off the thing of the way they treated this town when they came through here. If they'll treat citizens like that, if you're not watching them, what are they going to do in this park? That's my comment.
Very well made. Thank you. One question, please. Could you approach the podium because of the microphone? So I appreciate it.
I just wanted to find out, when is this park board meeting?
Monday.
Where?
February 3rd. Mm-hmm. And this month only, it's at 7 p.m. here at City Hall.
Okay.
And there is also a community garden meeting. Commissioner Carroll's been instrumental in working with the school, as well as the community and some of our master gardeners. We will have a community garden meeting at 6 p.m. here at City Hall on Monday, February 3rd.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hello, Miss Leslie. Welcome.
I have a couple of things. First of all, you were talking about the website and different things like that. Before, and I don't know if it's been updated since, it may have, I haven't looked, so forgive me for that, but the last time that I looked at the website, I was trying to find your all's phone number. This is before I got to know you guys and everything. And it was really hard to find your numbers on that website. Like, I had to Google it, and I mean, it was a mess. It took me forever to find and I never found it on the website. I don't know if it's on there or not, and it may be easier to find now. Okay, great. But it wasn't whenever I tried to find. Also, it is very hard, and I don't know if maybe the microphones are not on all the time up there, or maybe they're not like up high enough, but sometimes it's really hard to hear you guys when I'm sitting back there. There's been several meetings that I haven't even been able to hear Mr. Sutton. Sometimes it's been others, you know, that I just haven't been able to hear, and I know he doesn't speak very loud anyway, but I didn't know if there was something that you guys could maybe see about that too. And then also, this I wasn't even planning on talking about, but I thought that I would ask anyway. A few years back, my property was pretty much taken from me, like on the corner of my property from AT&T. They came and put UVerse, which I hate, by the way. Sorry, I do. I can't stand it. And it's because they took my property. And the guy talked to me, and he told me that he was going to give me $1,000 for my property. And I told him that I wasn't going to sell it because I didn't want this ginormous box for the entire subdivision right there on Chester. I mean, no offense to anybody. I know they want their UVerse, but I don't use UVerse, and I don't want that big giant box in my yard. Well, come to find out, they went ahead and decided to do it anyway. I was not even notified. They just started digging in my yard. I came outside to a giant, like, track hoe thing, like, digging in my yard. And then I had to go and find out what was going on. Basically, they built it anyway. Supposedly, it's in the right-of-way. I don't know if it is or not. The guy told me he wasn't going to pay me for it anymore because he found out that it was in the right-of-way. But whenever I measured it, it didn't seem like it was. All I know is that whenever they came in, he told me that they were going to make it pretty, and they were going to put, like, shrubs around it. And, I mean, it decreased the value of my property. And now there is about, it's probably from this whole table, that's how big it is. It's huge in my yard. And they put gravel all on the side of my property. I can't even mow my grass, like, over there next to the road because the gravel is there, and it kicks gravel everywhere, plus it can ruin my lawnmower. So, like, now all of the side of my whole property, like, it's just ugly because I'm not going to mow it and ruin my lawnmower for their box. So I don't know if there's something that can be done, or I don't know. I just thought that I would bring it up because it is frustrating as a citizen to own your property when they just took it from me. So, I mean, I had even gone to the county and gotten my land map or whatever it's called, and I mean, I had everything that I needed to for him, and then I was like, well, if you're going to take it anyway, you might as well pay me for it because they had already started building it. And he was like, no, I'm not paying you for it now. So, and I mean, I don't even want the money. I want them to fix it, or they need to hire mowers or something because I can't mow over there. And I don't know if I'm ever going to get a letter from the city. I might, because the grass gets like this high. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I don't know if there's anything that can be done about it or not, but I thought that I would just throw that out there. It's pretty frustrating, you know, just to have your property taken from you. And they're big. It's not like I can go against them. I'm nothing to them, you know, so anyway.
Well, don't ever overestimate a picture of something that they did and sending it to the utility company and sharing with them, is this what they would want in their yard? And just having a general conversation, because at that point, if it isn't a right-of-way, they are a utility company. But I do agree that they ought to, you know, be respectful, and by maybe showing them pictures might be something you can start the conversation again.
And like send that to AT&T?
The people who are the service, yes.
Okay.
That would be just my general statement of what I would share with you if you asked me on the street.
Mm-hmm. And you're not alone on that. My daughter had a tree cut down and found it up. It basically was in the tree for the back off of the part of it. The stump's still sitting on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But my intentions are on this project, you know, is absolutely, we as the city should appoint someone, supervise it and work with them to make sure they do it the right way while they're doing it.
Well, I've had issues with Middle Tennessee Electric too, cutting down my trees, like Jim was saying, about them just chopping it straight off. Yeah, I've had that problem. That happened this year. And the guy told me that Middle Tennessee tells them to cut it like that to kill the tree, because they don't want to keep paying someone to come out and trim it. That's what he told me, and he would not cut it the right way. So, I mean, they've already killed 2 of my trees in my property they've had to replace, so.
Well, when the cutting was done, I called because I had gotten several irate citizens, and I could see the trucks being what I called radical.
Yeah.
And they were moving, and they had this huge wheel. So when we did speak with Middle Tennessee Electric, and they did come out and speak with us. They said they were on a 20-year cut, which is why it seemed to be so aggressive, and we expressed our grave concern of how they were leaving and how it seemed to be they were not following through with coming behind and correcting the damages that the truck had made, ruts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we did have them here, and we did discuss it in order of the citizens, because y'all call and we try to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
We even brought up a point with that they were actually leaving the limbs and things, and the city was going around, and the city was mulching them. We told them they're going to be responsible for paying us back for that.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't have been done that. They should be clean when they leave there.
Right.
Anyway, we are looking.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments, Leslie. Anyone would like to comment this evening? I wish we had a house full, but I do appreciate everyone that came. Anyone else? All minds clear?
Just add one thing. Today I was thinking about the Walmart and the big stores, and I talked to Mr. Hall the other day. We've got a new shop going in next to the WAC. Just for ladies, well, I guess it's just for ladies. It's a new nail shop. Y'all should all get excited about going in over there. We've got a packaging store going in next to Gary's, over where the depot used to be. It's going to be pretty locally owned. I can have several people that'd be like, where you come in and get the styrofoam, put the boxes in, if they're going to post office boxes or not, but that type of place. We're growing real quick. At the same time, we've got a place up here. There's several small businesses that are here struggling to kind of make it. One of those I'll bring up is the Toolbox. Everybody familiar with the Toolbox? Been here forever. Small business. They struggle every day. If there's something you can get there, go there and get it. Help support them. They're still in business and they're trying to make it. Maybe you don't want to spend 40 minutes going to Walmart. Just want to find that extra pack of screws or whatever. So keep patronizing them and going and seeing them. All the small shops that we have here in town. So they need your help as well. So when you can, I've always said, if you take in the city of Fairview everything that you need, that you can buy in the city of Fairview, the businesses here could not handle the volume. So keep that in mind. That's all I've got.
Great. Would there be anyone else that would like to speak this evening at the town hall? No? Any statements from the commissioners? No.
Just thank you for coming out, and thank you for being concerned. And, you know, Fairview, it really is a great place to live, and I'm proud to be here. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Call to close. Good night.